play my intro. Now it's time for the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Robb Johnson Sports Show. Another episode here, episode 107. Today, what are we talking about? We're talking about head coaches that have been fired. We have Pete Carroll, we have Ian Morris, Kevin Stefanski, and Gammon here for the Arizona Cardinals. So, a lot of this took place yesterday. A lot of people already expected these coaches to be fired, especially a guy like Pete Carroll. You look at Pete Carroll, what he went through this year with the Las Vegas Raiders. You thought that him coming in, it would be more of a bridge. You kind of thought that it would be a situation with Pete Carroll where he would come in, do some good things, maybe build for the future. What you got was a team who is not only going to be building for the future, but a team that's going to be looking for a new head coach. I was kind of surprised that Pete Carroll came in and did not give the team more. I was surprised that he didn't give them more of a edge, especially with Pete Carroll's record, with Pete Carroll's past abilities in the National Football League. So kind of surprising there for the Las Vegas Raiders that he didn't at least last 2 or 3 seasons for the Las Vegas Raiders. But it is what it is. They are getting the #1 overall pick, which we will be talking about a little bit later on. So that's a situation for those coaches that that's it. That's it for him. I think that's it for his NFL coaching career. And I think that he's going to probably retire here or maybe go on to be an assistant somewhere because honestly, that's all he can do. Only winning was it 2 games on the season. They surprisingly beat the New England Patriots to start the season. That win actually cost the New England Patriots. #1 seed. So that's one thing he can hang his hat on, that he cost the New England Patriots #1 seed. But other than that, that's all you can really hang your hat on. When we go to Jonathan Gannon, if you look at if you look at John again, he was hired after helping the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl a couple years back. Cardinals finished 4-13. If you look at Arizona, Arizona was in a lot of football games most of the year. So Arizona was very competitive. Arizona, in my opinion, was very competitive. Defense played well. The offense, unfortunately, with Kyler Murray, he got hurt. So a lot of things did not go to plan for that Arizona Cardinals team. A lot of injuries are running back. I actually think Jonathan Gannon getting fired here was the wrong decision. I thought that he should have got another year with a healthy roster. However, I feel like if that's what the Cardinals wanted to do, that's what the Cardinals were going to do. I really think that he should have been given more time. I really think that Jonathan Gannon should have been given a little more of a leeway. But I think that this will actually help him go to another situation, become a coordinator, and reprove himself in the National Football League. He could possibly even go back to the Philadelphia Eagles after this season. Let's say the Eagles don't have as much success as they want in the playoffs. Bring this guy back, have success for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, to Kevin Stefanski, the 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. The 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. Yeah. I really don't know what to say about this situation. I'll give him this stuff. Yeah, it's just Kevin Stefanski, the 2-time Coach of the Year, hugging somebody right now, and mostly I think he's gone for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Deshaun Watson debacle. Even though he did not bring Deshaun Watson in, Deshaun Watson did not look good under Kevin Stefanski. They paid what, $230 million. So here's the thing: you bring Deshaun Watson back next year. Let's say he looks good on a new coach. They're going to automatically say, Kevin Stefanski, you were the reason why Deshaun Watson didn't look good. Let's say Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, they look better. They're going to say, Kevin Stefanski, you were the reason. You no longer want to be here. So when you look at Kevin Stefanski, when you look at his situation, when you look at his ability to coach football, I think the man can still coach football. I just think that Cleveland was no longer the right situation for him. Now, you look at Raheem Morris, one of the last, four regular season games. They're the reason that the Carolina Panthers are in the playoffs and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not. But you have to look at it. Tampa Bay did have, a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter against Atlanta on Thursday Night Football. Tampa Bay came back and they won that football game. Atlanta came back and won that football game. I have never been the biggest fan of Raheem Morris, never been the biggest fan of his record. I think that sometimes because he's so light that he gets these jobs. But I can actually say for Raheem Morris, towards the end of this tenure, towards the end for him, Raheem Morris actually started to coach better. He actually started to, put his players in better position. So I like the job that Raheem Morris did. However, this is what you have to look at if you're the Atlanta Falcons. You lost to the New York Football Jets. Yes, if you had not lost to New York Football Jets, you were going into the playoffs. This team, too talented. Yes, Michael Penix got hurt. I'm still a believer in Michael Penix. However, the thing is, folks, my light. Sorry about that. I didn't even put the light on there. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I had the lighting to make this thing look professional as I don't know what. You all can see my clear face now. Anyway, if you are the Atlanta Falcons, you cannot go out there and you cannot lose to the New York Jets. You lose to the New York Jets, you basically lose the division. You beat the Jets, you win the division. And think about the Atlanta Falcons in the playoffs right now. Think about if you're the Los Angeles Rams. If you got to go play not only Drake London, not only you got to go play that tough defense in Atlanta, but you got to go against Bijan Robinson. This team going into next year, folks, I'm telling you, they are the favorites in my opinion and they are my favorites to win the NFC South. I don't know when Michael Penix is going to get back. Hopefully he gets back. He's healthy. I think that Kirk Cousins' cap hit is $57 million. That's a lot of money for a guy that hasn't had much playoff success, a guy that has not had much success in the National Football League. So out of all these coaches, we'll put them back up here again. You look at Jonathan Gannon, Pete Carroll, Kevin Stefanski, and Raheem Morris. I think that Gannon, Stefanski, and Morris should go be coordinators. I think they should all go be coordinators, in my humble opinion. They should all go be coordinators. And once they're coordinators, what you do after that is you go get yourself a nice coaching head job, a head coaching job after that. But like I said, that's neither here or there. I think that if I have to put odds on it, Kevin Stefanski will probably get hired as a head coach first, Jonathan Gannon second, and Raheem Morris third. But I think they will all lay on their feet as really good coordinators. But who knows? We've seen people get jobs before, so we'll see how that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys a quick break. We're going to have this word here from LaTaurus.
Hey guys, this is Robb Johnson from Robb Johnson Media. I just want to let you guys know LaTaurus, one of the best brands out there for activewear. No matter if you're hiking, running, playing golf, playing tennis, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you have on this right here, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, you feel good and your performance will be great. LaTaurus, check it out today at lataurus.com.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Robb Johnson Sports Show. That message there from LaTaurus. And don't forget that LaTaurus is having a golf tournament in October. Yes, LaTaurus is having a golf tournament in October. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will get you more information as that comes available to me. But remember, LaTaurus is having a golf tournament in October, and it is going to be something special. Make sure you check out lataurus.com. It starts within. Again, LaTaurus, it starts from within. Now, Let's go to our second topic of the day. As I change the banner here, let's go to the NBA standings as we get this. We change this watermark. We change this graphic up here. Let's go to the National Basketball Association. Folks, we are now in January. As you know, we're getting closer and closer. It may not seem like it, but we are getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the NBA season. It may not seem like it again, but you think about it, February, March, April, starting to get into May, things like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get into the National Basketball Association standings. In fact, let's go through last night some of the games. The Boston Celtics, 115-101. The Boston Celtics, ladies and gentlemen, continue to impress. The Boston Celtics continue to show everybody without Jason Tatum, they are playing really good basketball. They beat the Bulls by 14. Not only that, but you have to put Jaylen Brown in the MVP conversation. How do you not have Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics in the MVP conversation? Right now, the Boston Celtics are a top three basketball team in the National Basketball Association. Right now, you have a Boston Celtics team who is playing really good basketball. I believe, let me see what their winning streak here is. I think they have won actually 8 out of the last 10 games. They're on a 4-game winning streak. These Boston Celtics are playing basketball like their hair is on fire. A lot of people had this team down. A lot of people doubted this basketball team, and they are proving a lot of people wrong. Speaking of proving people wrong, a lot of people said that the New York Knicks would have a cakewalk through the East this year. No, 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 ladies and gentlemen. The Detroit Pistons beat them by 31 last night. 31 points. The Detroit Pistons, another America. And this is important because we've not been having American basketball players who've been MVPs. But when you look at Cade Cunningham, 24 years old, out of Oklahoma State. He's been in the league, what now, 4 years, 4 or 5 years? Cade Cunningham has been playing some really good basketball. He had 29 points last night, 3 rebounds, 13 assists to help lead the Detroit Pistons over the New York Knicks. The Toronto Raptors, who also are playing good basketball, fourth in the East right now, beat the Atlanta Hawks 118-100. Big news out of Atlanta. It is being reported that Trae Young, is possibly on the trading block, and that's huge. That's huge for Trae Young. That's huge for a basketball team who drafted him, who had high hopes for him. Trae Young, who was only what is his age right now? Trae Young is 27. He's 27 years old. He's been in the league since 2018. Basically, same time when Luka got drafted. So he's 27. The team feels like, reports are saying that they feel like can be traded. Who are the contenders? Could it be Golden State? Could it be the Los Angeles Lakers? There are a bevy of teams out there who could use Trae Young once he gets back from his injury. A surprising result from Oklahoma City. The Charlotte Hornets beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 124-97. The Houston Rockets, Kevin Durant, 26 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. The Houston Rockets defeat the Phoenix Suns 197. The Denver Nuggets, without Nikola Jokic, 125-124 over the Philadelphia 76ers in overtime. The Portland Trail Blazers put up 137 to Utah Jazz's 117. They defeat them 137-117 at 20-point blowout. The Los Angeles Clippers defeat the Golden State Warriors as the Clippers continue to try to get back, from what their abysmal start. They started with 24 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists from Kawhi Leonard. We look at the Los Angeles Clippers right now. They're now 11th in the West, while the Golden State Warriors are 8th. So as you see, the Clippers are starting to climb. They're starting to get back to what they were supposed to be. We don't know if that'll happen because, health with the Clippers, things like that. So let's go off into the standings in the East. We have the Pistons. This is 1 through 8. This is 1 through 10 actually, because you got to play in, which is like 7 through 10. So let's go 1 through 10. We got the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Raptors, 76ers, Orlando Magic, and then those top 6, and then in the In the tournament where you decide the last four teams, you have the Heat, the Cavaliers, the Chicago Bulls, and Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks and the Bucks are tied uh, for that last playing spot with the Hornets 3 games back. In the Western Conference, we have Oklahoma City, the Spurs, Lakers, Nuggets, Houston Rockets, Minnesota Timberwolves, and then in those bottom four slots, you have the Suns, Warriors, Trailblazers, and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Clippers are 2 games out of the play-in, so we'll definitely see how that goes here when we get to closer to the end of the regular season. But I'm really excited. NBA is really doing really good this year. Once the NFL season ends, you have NBA, MLB, you have all bevy of sports to follow, and I think this is going to it's going to go down to the wire for the NBA, especially in the East, because you have a lot of teams in the East right now who are, let's just say, Indiana's not there. Everybody thought the Knicks were just going to steamroll, but a lot of teams, especially at the top, are going to have something to say about the Knicks and what the Knicks, if the Knicks are able to become that next great uh, team, or if they're just going to become the Knicks again. So yeah. Now let's go to this topic right here. For a lot of you who are not young enough, who are young enough to not know, who are the UNLV running rebels of the early 1990s? Well, that team at the time was a revolution. They were they were what everybody wanted to be. That 1989, 1990 UNLV running rebels of from out of Vegas. Let me just key that roster. David Butler, Larry Johnson, Stacy Savinovich, uh, Anderson Hunt. You had Travis Beach. You had Ryan Emerson, David Wright, Stacy Augman, Barry Young, James Jones, Moses Scurry, uh, and he had Greg Anthony and Chris Jeter. So the reason that team is so important is because that team that year, that team went, what was it, 35? I think it was 35 and 5. Yeah, they only lost 5 games. In those 5 games, they lost at UC Santa Barbara by 8. They lost to the LSU Tigers by 2. Remember, that was the team that had Shaquille O'Neal on it. They lost to New Mexico State by 1. They lost to Oklahoma by 8. They lost to Kansas by 14. Now, the reason I compare is because you look at that team, it's the team, especially the next year, they were blowing people out, and that's when they lost the national championship to Duke. But in this particular year, they're still blowing people out. They're blowing people out by 20, uh, 25 points. They got to the national championship game. They beat Duke by 30. That team was more than just a team. That team was a culture. And when you look at the UNLV running rebels, how they had America captivated, it's not the same culturally when you look at this Michigan Wolverines team. But when you look at this Michigan Wolverines team and you look at what they've done so far this year, I just want you guys to listen to some of these numbers. And this is why I kind of compare it. Not that I'm comparing them from a culture standpoint, but I'm comparing them from a standpoint where this team is very, very dominant. All right, we look through their games. Michigan, 121 to 78 over Oakland. They beat Wake Forest by 1. They beat TCU 67 to 63. Middle Tennessee, 86-61. San Diego State, which is always a decent basketball team when it comes to NCAA play, 94-54. They beat Auburn 102 to 72. They beat Gonzaga, who's top 5 at the time, 101 to 61. Rutgers, they beat them 101 to 60. Villanova, 89-61. Maryland, 101 to 83. LaSalle, 102 to 50. McNeese State, 112 to 71. They dominated USC this past Friday night, 96 to 66. They have a game tonight against Penn State. Penn State is a very pesky team. They play tough defense, but they're not going to be able to stop them. You look at Michigan's schedule. Michigan should be good all the way up to January 27 when they play Nebraska. They host Nebraska, who right now is undefeated. They're at home. Then on January 30th, they go to Michigan State. We'll learn a lot about Michigan that night. Going down their schedule, they have number 5 Purdue on February the 17th. Then they have number 6 Duke on February 21st. Iowa again on March 5th, and then they have Michigan State again on March the 8th. Folks, this Michigan team, they know how to play defense. They know how to fly around. They know how to make this spectacular play. This Michigan team reminds me, well, not reminds me of UNLV Running Rebels all the way, but what they are is a team that they run up and down the court, they alley-oop, they are exciting. They play a brand of defense that is very impressive for a college team. I love watching this Michigan team. I think they're going to be good for the tournament. I think that this Michigan team, especially when they play Duke, you think about it. You think about UNLV when they won their championship, they beat Duke by 30. I think that no matter what they do in the regular season, it's going to come down to that Nebraska game again. It's going to come down to Duke, and it's going to come down to Michigan State. If you have a Michigan team who can win those games by double digits, and let's say they don't even win by double digits, let's say they win them by 5, 6 points. Still, to do that in the regular season, to dominate the way they've dominated, it's impressive. And it's a thing that we really have not seen for a long time in NCAA basketball. So hopefully the country can start to gravitate to this Michigan team. Hopefully this Michigan team can continue to show people and bring excitement to the regular season, because that's what it is. If Michigan keeps winning like this, you're going to have no other choice but to pay attention and give the regular season love. It's not all about the postseason, folks. It's not all about the NCAA tournament. You gotta play well in the regular season to do well in the NCAA tournament. So let's get back to NCAA basketball, where we care about the regular season. And I think this Michigan team, if they get some more wins, will definitely have people caring more about the regular season. The women, I'll give them credit. The women have done a very good job of making people want to care about the regular season. Speaking of the regular season, let's talk about this topic right here. Now, we talk about with basketball, women's basketball. Let's talk about Audie Crooks, one of the most dominant forces in women's basketball we've seen in a long time. Now, the biggest question is, can Audie Crooks lead Iowa State to a Final Four and a national championship? We saw a couple of years ago, just like her fellow Iowan, Caitlin Clark helped lead her team to the Final Four, to a national championship game. They lost that national championship game. They lost both of those. But can Audie Crooks, with her dominant ways, send her team to a national championship? Well, it's going to be hard. I can say that, folks. It's going to be hard because when you look at the NCAA women's basketball season this year, and you look at the totality of it, it's murderer's row in a lot of ways. Because not only do you have a lot of good teams, you have traditional powers who look like they're back to their old winning ways. And we all know who I'm talking about. We all know that I'm talking about the Connecticut Lady Huskies. We're talking about South Carolina, who's 15-1. Their only loss of the season. Came at the hands of Texas by 2 points. So you have to deal with those monsters right there. You got to deal with UConn. You got to deal with Texas. You got to deal with South Carolina, UCLA, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, who's still undefeated, not getting the respect I feel like they deserve nationally. You look at Maryland, Michigan, Louisville. Then you go to Iowa State. They lost to Baylor this past week, but I think that was just a little blip on the radar. I don't think that Baylor did anything that's breaking news that's going to I don't think they did anything that's going to change how people play Iowa State, etc. I think that Iowa State had a bad game. Crooks 6'3". She plays a dominant game. I believe they got to the second round last year. I believe they beat Princeton and they lost to Michigan. But what does this team have to do realistically to get to a national championship game? Well, first of all, again, she's going to have to play lights out every game. Without her, this team is not even a top 25 team. It does rival Caitlin Clark territory. Even though that team was really good around Clark, she was the heart and soul. We just have to be honest about that. Audie Crooks is the heart and soul of this basketball team. She has to continue to put up big numbers every night. But when they start to double team and they start to trap her, other players around, they got to make their threes, they got to make their open shots. She's going to have to put up big performances. Like when she gets to the tournament, we're going to have to have at least a 50 burger, I believe. We're going to have at least a 50 burger from Audie Crooks maybe a couple of times in the tournament for this team to really advance. Again, the competition is there. It's a lot of tough competition. Women's basketball is more competitive than ever. You have teams, even out of the A10, they'll give you a headache. So, because I watch them play all the time. So, yeah, that 2-point loss to Baylor, I don't think will hurt them that much. Their next game is tomorrow night against Cincinnati. Cincinnati should not be. They're 16th right now in the Big 12. I don't think they should put up much of a fight. But these are the type of games you come out, you make a statement, and you pretty much blow them out. And you say, hey, it was a bad loss against Baylor. That's not who we are. But those type of games against Cincinnati that you come out and make statements. And I believe that Audie Crooks will come out and make a huge statement tomorrow night against Cincinnati. I actually feel kind of sorry for Cincinnati tomorrow night. But yeah, it'll be a tough road. But I really believe that when it's all said and done, Iowa State should be at least in the Sweet 16 or better. But we'll have to see from there because of the competition. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to tomorrow night. Let's talk about, not tomorrow night, but let's go to Thursday night. Let's talk about the Miami Hurricanes against Ole Miss, and then we have Oregon against Indiana. So, here's the thing. Ole Miss ain't supposed to be here. Ole Miss's coach left for LSU. Ole Miss was not supposed to be Georgia, but they're here. So, what do we think is going to happen in this game between Miami and Ole Miss? We do know that Miami's had trouble scoring. We do know that Ole Miss gives up some points. This is the game, in my humble opinion, where Carson Beck has got to come out and he's got to toss the ball around all around the field. I think Miami can run the ball, but if ever there's a game where Carson Beck should be able to throw the ball and get the ball out to his weapons, make some plays, Miami have an offensive explosion, I believe this is the game against Ole Miss. Ole Miss has a really good offense. It's an offense that you have to contend with, an offense that I feel like at times can be slowed down, but once they get going, it's really hard to stop them. So, in other words, you're Miami. Come into this game. You just beat Ohio State. Now you got to deal with Trinidad Chambliss, a guy on the season. I just had his numbers. Let me bring that back up. I don't know why my numbers just went down. This is technology at its finest. 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions on the season. Okay? You're dealing with wide receivers, Harrison Wallace. You're dealing with Dejon Stribling. Sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. You're dealing with Deuce Alexander. You're dealing with Caden Lee. All these guys had 39 or more catches. Daquan Wright, he had 36 catches on the season. Winston Watkins. So in other words, folks, he had 25 catches. So all these players had 25 catches or more, with Wallace having the most of 57. So Iowa, I'm sorry, not Iowa. I know I'm talking about Iowa, but Ole Miss spreads the wealth. You also have to deal with Lacey, Jawan Lacey, who had, what was that? 1,000. He has 1,464 yards on the season. He has 23 touchdowns. Chambliss has 520 yards rushing so far on the ground as well. So this game will be more of a Texas A&M type game. Miami, again, this will be more of a Texas A&M type game for the University of Miami. You're going to have to deal with their running game. even though Ohio State had great weapons, you're going to have to deal with a quarterback that can move. You're going to have to deal with a mobile quarterback here. Miami has had trouble with that. But that defense is built for it. That defense has the aggressiveness. If this was last year, I would be very concerned about Miami. I'd be very concerned they didn't have the discipline. They have the discipline. They definitely have the discipline um, on defense. But when you're dealing with Bain, when you're dealing with Bazant, with Wesley Bazant, when you're dealing with Scott and these players, Thomas, that can really get going and can really get after your quarterback, Mesidor, it's going to be critical for Miami to. I don't think this will be a shootout, but what I do think is it's going to be a game where you're going to have to score in spouts. So Miami in this game, I feel like cannot go on one of those scoring draws where they're not scoring and they expect their defense to hold Ole Miss down the entire game. I believe they can stop Ole Miss, but as I've said before, the first 10 to 12 minutes of this game is going to be critical. You're going to see what kind of game this is going to be. If Ole Miss comes out and scores first and they're doing whatever they want to and they're establishing the running game, Miami's in trouble. If Miami is able to come out, stop the Ole Miss running game, and Carson Beck is able to drop back, have a good day passing early, because this is what I feel. If Miami gets up on this Ole Miss team early, they're going to beat them. If Ole Miss gets up on Miami, let's say it's 14-3, maybe 21-7, I think Miami has the ability to come back. But the issue is, again, this is more Texas A&M than Ohio State. So Texas A&M left a lot of plays on the field. Ole Miss is not going to do that. Ole Miss is motivated. You lose your head coach. You lose your head coach, and now you have to deal with you're dealing with the prospects of players leaving, players not being there in the future. Ole Miss wants to accomplish this. They want to win. However, Miami knows if they win this game, they get the national championship game at home. Miami, out of their 5 national championships, have won 3 at the then Orange Bowl. If they win this game, they know they'll be home and they'll have the possibility to not only win their 4th at home, but it'll be their 6th overall. So it's going to be an intriguing Fiesta Bowl. Very excited. Now, Oregon against Indiana. The last time these two teams played, Indiana won 30-20. They went to Oregon. They dominated the Ducks. Fernando Mendoza, we'll get to him a little bit later. One of the best quarterbacks in the nation, the Heisman Trophy winner. This is a physical team. This is a tough team. This team does not play games. This is the worst possible matchup for Oregon. Indiana feels disrespected. They blew out Alabama last week, but it feels like they almost are still not getting the respect they deserve nationally. So I think Indiana's going to come out here, and I think Indiana's going to win. If you're asking me, do I think that Oregon has an opportunity? Yes, but they're going to have to get it done early. They're going to have to make sure that Indiana, I don't know why I keep saying Iowa, Indiana does not jump on them too early. This is a great Indiana team with a bunch of veterans, an offensive line that is disgustingly nasty, a defensive line that will kick your you know what. So when I look at this game, I think Iowa can get the win. My national championship, and it's kind of fitting that this would happen. Fernando Mendoza, who I was actually in a press conference with in 2024 for ACC Media Day, he didn't get many offers. I think his only offer was from Cal. Then he went from Cal to Indiana. How Cal let him out the door, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you how they let him out the door. But what I can tell you is that Fernando Mendoza from Miami goes back and plays the University of Miami. It will be, I think, an epic game. And we'll see who wins, and then we'll preview that game coming up next week. Usually, like I said, Robb Johnson Sports Show is now every Tuesday at 9:30. Sometimes we'll push it to 9:45. but we will preview that game next Monday. Because the national championship game will be on a Monday. So we'll go ahead and preview that game next Monday. But yeah, I have Indiana against Miami for the national championship going forward. Now, let's talk about the NFL playoffs as we switch our stuff up here. Now, let's go to the NFL playoffs. And we're going to talk about who do we have, who we think is going to win. We're going to go down the list, tell you who I think I got. All right. So before the season, full disclosure, I had Arizona against Houston. Sounds a little crazy now. You know, Houston had a decent season. I'm sorry, Arizona had a season where they could have won a lot of games, but they screwed it up. I can't help that. Can't put that on me. So bad prediction there, but the Texans are still alive. So we got the Texans against the Steelers. I got Houston. I think Houston's the better team. I think Houston has a great defense. I think CJ Stroud comes up in big moments. So I'm going to give it to Houston as they play the Broncos in the next round. Bills, Jaguars. I got Jaguars. I think Jacksonville right now is a better team. Trevor Lawrence has been playing lights out football. That defense been playing lights out. So I'm gonna give it to the Jaguars. Chargers at Patriots. I'm not picking the Chargers to come cross country and beat the New England Patriots. I got the Patriots. I think the Patriots are the better team. I have the Patriots winning. So in the AFC divisional round, we have the Broncos and the Texans. I believe more in the Texans right now. I'm going to give it to the Houston Texans. I think the Texans are a good team, and I'm going to give it to the Houston Texans and go to Denver and beat the Denver Broncos and advance to the AFC Championship game. Steelers against Jaguars. I'm sorry, Patriots against Jaguars. Um, I think the Jaguars go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots. So my AFC Championship game, I have Houston against against Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that Houston Texans go in. They not shock the world, but I think they go in, and I think they have they play a great game against Jacksonville. I think these two teams put on a great display. I have the Houston Texans in the Super Bowl coming out of the AFC. Let's go to the NFC. Panthers against Rams. Even though the Panthers beat the Rams in surprising fashion, I have the Rams winning this football game going to Seattle. 49ers at Eagles. Even though the 49ers have shown so much heart, it doesn't matter. The Eagles win this football game. Packers against Bears. The Bears are a healthy football team, healthier than the Packers. I'm going to give it to Chicago Bears. Even though they lost this past weekend, the Eagles could have had the 2 seed. The Eagles have to go to Chicago. Don't like that matchup. I wish the Eagles would have won, so then they would have been the 2 seed instead of 3. But we have a rematch between the Bears and the Eagles. And then we have Rams against no, I'm sorry. I messed that up. Sorry about that. We have Rams against Seahawks, a rematch against some for some classic games we've had so far this year. We got Bears against Eagles. I'll give it to the Bears. I think the Bears will beat the Packers. I think they'll beat the Eagles. They'll advance to the NFC Championship game. I have the Seahawks beating the Rams. I have them advancing to the NFC Championship game, where I have them beating the Chicago Bears. So my Super Bowl is the Houston Texans against the Seattle Seahawks in a defensive battle. And in my Super Bowl, I have the Houston Texans. Yes, I said it right. I have the Houston Texans win the Super Bowl, beating the Seattle Seahawks in a defensive slobber knocker. I have them winning 22-19, and I have that as my Super Bowl. And I think it'll be an exciting game. 2 great defenses playing. Sam Darnold against CJ Stroud. It comes down to a mistake. Who makes the first mistake? And I believe Sam Darnold will make that mistake. I have the Houston Texans defeating the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, 22-19. That is my Super Bowl, and I am sticking to it. Now, let's get to what everybody's been waiting for. Let's get to our top 10. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our top 10 NFL picks. Let me see here. Wrong graphic. Let's see. So we're going to go 1 through 10 for we'll go 1 through 10 here. Now, who's on the clock first? The Las Vegas Raiders. Who do I have the Las Vegas Raiders picking with their #1 overall pick? I have the Las Vegas Raiders picking Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. All right. Next, we have the New York Jets. I have the Jets taking Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. At number 3, we have the Arizona Cardinals. For the Cardinals, I have them taking, even though they don't particularly need him. This is a dominant player. You bring him in, you give Kyler Murray a second chance next year, new regime, maybe even draft a quarterback later, you bring in a veteran. But if you're the Cardinals, you cannot pass on Ruben Bain, defensive end, edge rusher, University of Miami. Tennessee Titans, number 4. You have to protect your quarterback, your franchise quarterback. And you bring somebody in there who he's familiar with. You bring in Francis Noah. Number 4, a great deep offensive lineman, a leader on the field. You bring him into your program with Cam Ward. New York Giants, number 5. There are many options here. But for me, I believe the Giants' trajectory is high right now. So you need to bring in weapons for Jackson Dart. Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. You bring him in, he changes your program. The Cleveland Browns, you need somebody to protect your quarterback. Before you can have a quarterback, you have to have somebody who can actually protect the quarterback. Your defense is set. Your defense is where it needs to be. You could go wide receiver here, but even let's say Tate does not get drafted in that 5th spot, or Jordan Tyson. You could pick a wide receiver there, but the foundation of every football team is an offensive lineman. And for the Cleveland Browns, Trevor Gooseby, offensive tackle from Texas, should be your choice here. Now, for the Commanders, you need defensive help like nobody's business. If you're the Commanders at number 7, you go Arvell Reese, linebacker out of Ohio State. He's a game changer. He's a game wrecker. He will help change the program. Even the Washington Commanders cannot screw this up, ladies and gentlemen. At number 8 for the Saints, you got your quarterback now. You feel like you don't need to draft a quarterback. You have weapons, some weapons. You played a decent season. So now you need to be able to protect that quarterback. So who do you bring in if you're the Saints? You bring in Spencer Fanu, interior offensive lineman out of Utah. You know those guys from Utah and from the West from the West, they always, especially those offensive linemen. One thing we know, if they come from the West or they come from Wisconsin, they can play offensive line. They're tough. At number 9, see here, number 9, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Koldrick Falk, edge rusher. They need an edge rusher. They need a game changer. They need somebody out there who can bring and make a difference for the Kansas City Chiefs. This young man out of Auburn, athletic freak, he should be able to do that for this football team. At number 10, the Bengals. The Bengals need a game changer on defense. And Gerard McCoy out of Tennessee, he brings that difference. He brings that spunk that the Bengals need on defense. He brings something that the Bengals need to spark and have great play on the back end of the defense. So that's who I put at number 10. So those are my picks. We'll go through them one more time. Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns, Commanders, Saints, Chiefs, and Bengals. Those are my top 10. Next week, I'll come with you my 11 through 21 next week for you all. So let's go to our next segment here. Let's see here. Let's go to our Shut the Hell Up segment. Let's go to our Shut the Hell Up segment here on the Robb Johnson Sports Show.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
All right. The question is to everybody today is, I don't really have anybody I want to shut the hell up that much. I don't really have anybody, honestly. Um, One thing I can really say shut the hell up to is maybe the Jalen Hurts critics, maybe the people who continue to doubt this young man were saying he can't get it done. All he's done is gone to Super Bowl twice, and all he's done is won a Super Bowl. And the Eagles' offense isn't this, it isn't that. Well, guess what, folks? The Eagles are in the playoffs once again. Do I think they should have played the Stars and got the 2 seed? I do think so because I think there's a big difference between Soldier Field and Lincoln Financial Field. I think there's a huge difference. But hey, it is what it is. But I just think that, like I said, a lot of the critics of Jalen Hurts just need to shut the hell up. The man continues to make the playoffs, continues to be consistent. So give the young man credit. Critique his game, where you need to critique his game, but just shut the hell up on that situation because he continues to make the playoffs. Before we get to our final word, let's get to this quick commercial from Larry Patterson.
Check out Game Time 365 Sports on the Game Time Sports Network. Larry Patterson bringing the heat to you every single time.
Let's hit that again.
Check out Game Time 365 Sports on the Game Time Sports Network. Larry Patterson bringing the heat to you every single time.
Now, in this Tell the World How You Feel segment, I just want to let everybody know that this media stuff is not. See, look, man, a lot of people think that media is one of those easy things that you just get up, talk about sports, you give everybody the game and what you know. It's not just that, man. It's the editing. It's the tireless hours you put in. It's the scheduling where you're supposed to do a show and things happen. Like this morning, I had a scheduling client for I was supposed to be on 9:30. I pushed it back to 9:45. I've been on here for 47 minutes with you guys. I had to go last night and take care of a contract. I had to take care of a contract last night. I still was able to, get a break from that, go to my car, do a show, go stand a wrestling where you can find every Monday night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. I've committed now to doing this show every Thursday, with even putting in an extra show, on a Monday. So this stuff is not easy, and it's more than talking sports. That's why when you look at people like Stephen A. Smith, you look at people on television, you think they just show up, you think they just talk sports. No, it's the meetings, it's the all the other things that go into it. It's the behind the scenes stuff. It's the writing. It's the knowing your certain lines, certain things that you have to do as a broadcast, as a sports media journalist. It's not just showing up. You have to be able to be prepared. You have to be able to know what the hell you're actually talking about. Very critical in this game. When you've been in this game for years and you're trying to get going, the struggle, the hustle, different, it's a hustle. You're not going to come into this game making the big bucks. You're going to have to unfortunately, it's the truth. You're going to have to catch that big break one day. I've been in print for almost a decade. Listen, when you start out, you're doing print, you're doing all the hustle that you can do, freelance. Everything is not going to be there. The glitz and glamour, a lot of stuff that we do to make these things look good are not glamorous. This is not a glamorous business. It may look good on social media. It may, you're credentialed to this. You're at this event. It looks good, man. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of work that is put in by a lot of people, not just you, by other people. You can't do this by yourself. You cannot succeed in this type of business by yourself. I got a great team behind me, Legacy Maker Sports Network, Robb Johnson Media. I'm pretty much by myself with Robb Johnson Media. That's just how that is. But Legacy Maker got a great team. When I go out and I work with certain people outside of Legacy Maker, always welcome me in, do great things. Shout out to Larry Watt, shout out to Larry Patterson, shout out to Amar Washington, shout out to Drew Willingham, shout out to a lot of people out there who I've been on shows with. Shout out to Coach, shout out to a lot of people. If I missed you, I'm sorry, but shout out to a lot of people who I've done this sports content with. It is something where we have to continue to support each other. We have to continue to work hard at it because this does not get easy. Sports media is competitive. You know, so what if I have a degree in communications? That doesn't matter. You have to continue to learn on the fly. You have to continue to get better on the fly. And that's what I have to do. That's what you have to do if you want to make it in this game. So that's all I got to say about that. Again, that's been Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 107. I will be back with you all next Monday as we talk about the national championship game. Will it be Miami? Will it be Indiana? Will it be Oregon? Will it be Indiana? Will it be Miami, Indiana, Oregon, or will it be Ole Miss? We'll see. Be back to talk with you guys next week. Again, Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 107. I will see you guys next Monday and Tuesday for episodes 108 and 109. You all have a great day. And make sure you check out my Instagram and YouTube, Rob Johnson Media. We got some content coming in the next 3 hours. Got pictures and video. So check it out. Make sure you're checking me out also on nkccnews.com. Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 107. See you guys later.